Mitchell. Reading McLeish, still David Mitchell. Mitchell, Cosmina, brilliant save by Leighton.
Through this team, we have visited every emotion.
Forward by Yankos and Trimboli. A glimmer of hope for the Australians. We see the exit of Australia from the 1990 World Cup campaign.
They've made us smile, laugh, cheer and cry. They've broken our heart and they've fed our soul.
Tony Vidmar inside! Oh, it's a deflection! Tragedy for Australia! A brilliant start for the Socceroos! And it's Harry Kewell, the 19-year-old. Post Kewell's there, back across!
We live our footballing life through them. The Socceroos' journey is our journey. Always has been, always will be. And now the journey continues, and we're still with them.
John, here's Aloisi for a place in the World Cup.
For us.
He scored! Australia have done it! Cahill! Tim Cahill has done it again! One drop for Kewell! Harry Kewell has done it! Fabio Grosso! Oh, it's a penalty! It's cruel, oh so cruel on Australia. It's a tragedy. Australian football has new heroes and a new generation have new goals to exceed. Here's Brett Holman from wrong range. What a goal! He's done it again, Brett Holman.
Good morning, welcome to SBS, and welcome back the Socceroos, back on free TV screens outside of the World Cup for the first time in 6 years. Nice to have you with us, and nice to have the boys back on the network as well. We catch the Socceroos just as the campaign for Brazil 2014 begins to hot up, with results now becoming critical. We are in the fourth round of qualifying, with Australia needing to make at least second place in its five-team group in order to achieve direct qualification. Today's challenge is the away game against Jordan, with the Socceroos yet to record a win in this phase after draws with Oman and Japan. And Jordan, quarter-finalist in the Asian Cup 2 years ago, is a team to be respected. We'll take you to the King Abdullah Stadium in Amman shortly, but first let's contemplate what may happen with Socceroos David Zdrilic and Craig Foster. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Les.
Lovely to see you. It's a must-win for Australia, Foz?
It's a must not lose. It is a hopefully win, and 3 points this morning would just ease all of the tension out of the qualification campaign. It's been a difficult start, but that's largely because of the schedule. Japan have of course already won this morning, and they're leaps ahead of everyone, but they've had 3 out of 4 games at home. Australia went into 50-degree heat against Amman, then had the toughest team, one of the 2, against Japan here at home in just an immense football match. So this morning 3 points would ease tremendous amount of pressure, and it's as much about the next game against Iraq away as it is about this game, because what you do not want to do is you cannot go into the next game against Iraq with a loss. That's absolutely. But if you go in there with 3 points, given that Iraq have just lost this morning, then all of a sudden you're much calmer going into that game. The longer we go without a win, the more the pressure just ramps up and ramps up.
Zdula, what should the strategy be? I mean, any coach these days is happy with a 1-0 win away from home, but we've got to start scoring goals as well. So it should be, can I suggest, an attacking strategy today, even though it's away from home?
Well, we certainly prefer that, and I think it suits our style. It's always been that way. Whenever we've had put an attacking lineup, it's the way we like to play. It's our mentality to go out there and win. Good to see that we got the 3-0 result against Lebanon, and we played an attacking style. We played attacking players, brought Cruz in, Rukavica, started Cahill again. up with Bross. So it was positive signs, and when we look at the lineup, it's similar for today's game. So it's quite a positive sign for us. I agree with Foz. We do need to make sure that we don't lose this game. Hopefully we win. It's going to make it a lot different. Even Holger said coming into the game that the fixture list compared to Japan or other nations was favourable for them.
Difficult.
And it's been very difficult for us.
OK, let's have a look at the updated table after this morning's game between Japan and Iraq, which the Japanese won 1-0. Ryoshi Maeda, the scorer in that one. And that actually puts Australia into second place, moves Australia up into second place, because now Iraq has an inferior goal difference. But 2 points apiece to Australia, Iraq and Oman as of this morning. Here are the fixtures for Australia. 2 of them played. Today, of course, Jordan, and then the next, as the boys said, Iraq away. That's not going to be easy. They only lost 1-0 to Japan. Then home against Oman, then away to Japan will be obviously a critical game, and then 2 home games to finish up the story. Team news then, the Australians first, and the major news is that there's been one change with Brett Holman coming in for Nikita Rukavica. Opinion or views on that, please, Foz?
It was always going to happen, whether it was for Nikita or perhaps Robbie Cruz has now got the nod and seems to have been the only young player or next gen, if you like, to really bed down a first team spot now. After Holger has tried quite a number of them over the last 2 years. Rukavica goes out. Holman is incredibly important to the team now. He is the primary linking mechanism between the base of midfield and attack. He also has a creative aspect, can set up and also score goals as well. He's experienced. He also brings good work when we don't have the ball in midfield as well. And I know that's one thing that Ozic really likes in him, that he's very aggressive at trying to win the ball back, which you need from someone typically who's at the point of the midfield. The work of them to try and slow the opponent down before they get too far is extremely important. Holman also does that very well.
All right, Jordan makes 5 changes, or retains only 6 players that I can see from the team, which was walloped 6-0 Abdullah in their last qualifier. But they've had a couple of good friendlies since then. They beat Uzbekistan, drew with Iran. They're quite impressive results.
Well, yeah, but when you look at it in the total, even their last qualifying phase, very inconsistent. I mean, you see a lot of Asian countries, they win their games at home, and away from home they're maybe not as strong, whereas Jordan, they've lost games at home, they've won games away. Even their friendly games have been a little bit inconsistent. The game against Japan, yes, they lost 6-0. They were man down when it was 2-0. And in the second half, they did create a few chances. So very unpredictable. Playing at home in front of a very big crowd, a very boisterous crowd, it's always difficult. We've seen that even the first game against Amman with Australia. Difficult. Schwarzer had to make a save to keep us in it. So these games are very unpredictable from that point of view. But still, I think Australia, with the quality that we have, should be able to account for the likes of Jordan, despite all those conditions. OK, let's hear now from the Socceroos coach Holger Ozic at the pre-match press conference.
And so tomorrow, therefore, there's no difference to all the other games. And as I said, we are well prepared, and of course we can expect a very enthusiastic crowd supporting their team, which is normal and which I really appreciate. But we have a good number of players in our team who are used to that kind of atmosphere and who are strong enough to handle their nerves. Our schedule is definitely not a pleasant one. There's other teams, they have a decent start regarding their playing dates, but they put us into that. I don't know for what reason, but what can we do? Shall we sit in the corner and start to cry? So we have to accept, and we'll have to play. So that's the fact.
Holger Ozic, the Australian national coach, talking in Amman. Now let's have a look at some of the what happened in the Lebanon game, Foz. And I was I have to say, very impressed by the fact that Holger didn't use any so-called defensive midfielders, people like Jedinak and Valeri, with all respect to them. It was a very attacking lineup, and it really worked in the first half. And that part of the field has been retained today.
That's right. Look, I think there's been a lot of calls for that over the last couple of years, and it's taken a long time, but this is one of the first times I can recall Holger doing it. It's a perfect game for that because you knew that you're going to dominate against Lebanon. Number 6, that really has defensive qualities, like the two you mentioned. They're specialist players, and usually they can be utilised in a game where you know that you're going to have to block that area of the park. Normally, many times he would play 2 of them together, don't forget, when it would become often very defensive. So to have both Mackay and Bresciano playing in the base of midfield was refreshing. I thought that we passed the ball in the first half before he made a lot of changes, passed the ball much better through that area. And what was really important was both of them got up around the box and actually were involved in the goals. So Bresch created both of them with 2 beautiful passes, one to the right, one to the left. Yeah. That's the qualities he has, Driller. Yeah. But also Matty Mackay got into the same area, and for that second goal...
was the key.
That was the key. Yeah. He was the one who changed the speed of the game, and as it came into him, he played around the player, played a little 1-2, went forward, and that's what actually created the whole opportunity.
Particularly in this system where there's not many variations there. So when you've got both of them, both Bresciano and Mackay, making forward runs and giving that extra, attacking option, I thought it was a big difference for us. But still, I think Bresciano, when you've seen every game that he's played, he's been the crucial player. We go back to that game in Japan, against Japan at home in Brisbane, where he came off after 12 minutes. Those first 12 minutes, we were on fire. As soon as he came off, the game changed, and it's happened every time. But so we'll be heavily relying on him again to create and pull the strings, whether it be getting the ball from defence and then also creating an attack, because he does both jobs, which is great. But he can't do it all himself. But it's very good, again, that we have an attacking lineup. Good to see Holman in there, good to see Cahill in there, and all playing in good form at the moment.
What about the Brosk and Timmy Cahill partnership up front? Seem to have worked against Lebanon?
Well, look, it did, but, Lebanon, Jordan should be a different prospect to Lebanon defensively. It did in the sense that Timmy dropped off and really linked very, very well as I've seen him do in that game. But we have to say that, with the greatest respect to them, the Lebanon midfield wasn't tremendously impressive, right? So sometimes it can be a bit of a false economy, if you like. But it was tremendous for the confidence of this group who'd gone 4 games without a win. All of that sort of starts to build a little bit. And whilst they're all very hardened professionals now, it's important for them to score a couple of goals. It's important for them to come in here with much greater confidence. So I think the scheduling of the match was clever. I think it was proven to be very good. And that was good work from Aussie, to make sure that you're playing against one who's in the other group, but also is one of...
Even the guys themselves, Foz, are saying now they've got confidence coming into this game. So it's helped them as well, because you go 3 or 4 games without winning and people are starting to talk about it. A good result against any opposition breeds confidence.
We need it in more ways than one.
Yeah.
You're quite correct. Time for a quick break, then we'll be back with the first half of the World Cup qualifier from Amman. This is Jordan versus Australia, right here on SBS.
So we jumped over cemetery gates. There on the wasteland we saw.
Years ago, I invented the first bagless vacuum cleaner to solve the problem of bags clogging and loss of suction. Today, our radial cyclone technology captures more dirt than any other cyclone. And as casters and wheels tend to be unstable, our latest vacuum cleaners are built around a ball. Our mission is simple: solve the problems others ignore.
I wanted to know more about my great-grandmother, but I wasn't sure where to start. So I went to ancestry.com.au, typed in her name and a rough date, and right away I found a marriage record. There she was with her husband, the first one, which now makes great-grandpa husband number 3.
Ancestry.com.au helps you get started with your family history and guides you along the way.
Apparently, great-grandma was quite a catch. Very popular.
Discover your family story at Ancestry.com.au.
Mint?
Thank you.
Their new Eclipse Chewy Mints.
Yeah. They are chewy.
And minty.
You look fresher.
I'm Iceman.
Don't be ridiculous.
New Eclipse Chewy Mints.
This is Matt Goss. He's our human power plant in Europe. During a race, he generates 500 watts of pure energy, enough to power 5 LCD TVs. At peak output, he hits 1500 watts, power enough for 15 TVs or 30 laptops. We're Momentum Energy, and we supply power, just like Matt Goss.
The Socceroos' road to Brazil began last September against Thailand in Brisbane. Second half goals from Alex Brosk and Josh Kennedy were enough to see off the Thais 2-1. It was an improved performance 5 days later in Saudi Arabia. A double from Kennedy, along with a Luke Wiltshire penalty, guaranteed the points in a tough away trip.
Australia have scored.
Australia faced Oman in Sydney a month later, and Brett Holman got the hosts off to a flyer. A late Miller Jedinak goal helped the Socceroos cruise to a 3-0 win.
And a third goal has gone in for Australia, and it is Miller Jedinak.
The return match in November was a different story. Ahmed Ali's 18th minute goal proved enough to inflict the first qualifying loss as Australia coach for Holger Osek. The green and gold returned to winning ways 4 days later. A late Brett Holman header secured a 1-0 win against Thailand in Bangkok and progression to the next phase. A final group match against Saudi Arabia was academic for the Socceroos, and they were 2-1 down at half-time. But goals from Harry Kewell,
2-2.
Alex Brosk,
Gets around Hassan Moat. 3-2 Australia. Alex Brosk has a break.
and Brett Emerton turned the result on its head.
Looking for the goal and scoring 4-2.
The final group phase began on a hot June afternoon in Muscat against Oman. Ozek's side were thwarted by the hosts' inspired goalkeeper Ali Abdullah. In the end, the Socceroos had their own shot stopper to thank for keeping the game scoreless.
Oh, and that's a great save by Schwarzer.
It was an even tougher test later that week as Asian champions Japan travelled to Brisbane. Mark Milligan was sent off early in the second half. The visitors made the extra man count after the hour.
They're on Honda across. Japan score. It's Kurihara.
But the Socceroos' fighting spirit came to the fore in the 70th minute as they won a penalty which Luke Wiltshire dispatched.
The story so far for Australia in the 2014 FIFA World Cup qualifying. Foz, I wonder what Jordan has to offer against Australia. Now, I point out a couple of things. One is that Adnan Hamad, their coach, has experience, has form in beating Australia. He coached Iraq when Iraq beat Australia last time. And Jordan is a team more desperate than us to get some points.
Well, that can be good. That can be great, because in international football, the more desperate you are, generally, the more risk you have to take, and the better it is, particularly as the away team. So if these guys come out this morning, and as you said, they're only on 1 point, it's critical for them that they get a win this morning. That means at some points they're going to be committing a lot of players forward. That's where Robbie Cruise's speed, Alex Brosk's speed, that's where your players like Mackay, who's not slow, can get there, and of course Holman in between those lines can make the difference. So they'll be set up for that, Australia, without questions. Driller said before, though, that the difficulty about Jordan is very simply that they are erratic. And when you're playing against an erratic team, you have to be a bit concerned, because they're very much up and down. You actually don't know what it is they're going to provide. So I'm going to be very interested to see in the first 15 or 20 minutes what Holger's instructions are to the team, whether they just try and maintain possession, get control of the game, or whether, in fact, which I think is probably going to be the case, they just come back a little bit, they don't press too high against them, and they just wait a little bit for the game to come to them. That's been his modus operandi the whole time to date anyway. And when you've got a team like Jordan who really need to go forward this morning, you can really take advantage of that.
Well, they got annihilated in this game against Japan, but Foz has already pointed out the circumstances. They were down a man early and they basically collapsed.
Let's not forget they were playing against the Japanese side. Were absolutely phenomenal in that game. It was, I mean, they were in red hot form, and yeah, they were 2-0 down. They still came back in the second half, but I think anyone that played Japan that night would have had a very tough game. But still, you even look at those results that we showed earlier. Even in their friendly games, they played Uzbekistan in the space of 3 days, which was quite strange. In 2 friendlies, they won 1, lost 1. So you don't know what you're going to expect from them.
Especially at home, though. This is a home game for them.
Yeah. Exactly.
It'll be a packed stadium in a very, very proud country, very proud of its
But they lost a couple of home games in the last qualifying phase as well. So again, you don't know. Then they go away and they win a couple of games. So
and they concede. What is it? 7 in the last 6 matches. Yeah. And that's critical. So Aussique knows that these guys in defence, they are not the strongest. Therefore, in the course of 90 minutes, you are going to get Australia is going to get some really outstanding chances. The question is, at the start of the game, do you take the game to them, or do you just play a more balanced sort of game and just see what they have to offer in the first 15 or 20 minutes? That, to me, is going to be the really fascinating point. I hope that Australia stays very high up the park, really puts the pressure on them, because with this midfield that we have, I really think that they can dominate with the ball as well. But just going into the whole, I guess, balance of this occasion, Les, the real key for me out of this whole campaign is that we have the 2 final games at home. I think it's Jordan and Iraq. Okay, that is absolutely key. That's why I just said, look, you're not desperate for 3 points this morning. You don't want to get drawn into this situation where the scheduling has gone against you and all of a sudden you start to panic. And the thing I like about Aussique is that he's very calm. Right? He brings a tremendous amount of experience to this occasion, and he knows that even if it goes right down to the wire, it's essentially between Australia, Jordan and Iraq now. You're going for the second spot, very likely, and you've got 2 final games at home, which you should be winning. So for Australia, there's a full 90 minutes here. It doesn't have to be won in the first 15, but certainly they have more than enough quality and experience to win this game.
OK, leading the teams out is the referee from Qatar, Abdullah Balide. It's Australia versus Jordan, or the other way around. After the anthems, commentators will be Andy Harper and Simon Hill.
Welcome to the ancient city of Amman, where Australia's World Cup hopes go on the line tonight in front of a baying crowd of 18,000 at the King Abdullah Stadium. Jordan, known as Al Nashama, the Brave, and the Socceroos will have to be just that this evening, or they could find themselves joint bottom of the qualifying group. But this is the sort of situation they normally relish, and although Jordan have made the quarterfinals in 2 of the last 3 Asian Cups, the 62 places separating the two in the FIFA rankings is probably a truer reflection of where the two countries are at, and the win in Lebanon has rather reinvigorated the Australians after their poor recent form. Our referee tonight is from Qatar, Abdullah Balideh, assisted by 2 compatriots, Salam Al-Naimi and Talib Al-Mari. Balideh there at the start of Australia's World Cup campaign, taking charge of the narrow 2-1 win over Thailand. The 2 captains, Lucas Neal, his 52nd time leading his nation, and Amir Deeb of Jordan. Jordan competing in the final round of qualifying for the first time. The 2 nations have never met at senior level, although they have met twice in age group competitions, with Australia winning both an AFC under-19 qualifier in 2008 and an Olympic qualifier at this venue in 2007, when they won by 4-0. Well, with Japan and Iraq playing earlier on today, and of course Japan winning that game, something similar tonight would certainly suit the Australians. This is the Jordan lineup. Adnan Hamad beset by injuries and suspensions. Abdullah Deeb and Khalil Bani Atiyah both banned. Bata Abdurrahman and Tawa Bawab injured. But watch out for tricky winger Odal Al-Saifi, attacking midfielder Hassan Abdel Fattah, and acrobatic goalkeeper Amr Shafi. Holger Osik making just one change. Brett Holman coming in for Nikita Rukavica. He'll play on the left, leaving the central midfield pairing of Mark Bresciano and Matt Mackay intact. Now, just before we get underway, we're going to have a moment's silence in memory of Mahmoud El Ghahari, the former Jordan coach, born in Egypt, twice winner of the African Cup of Nations, who sadly passed away recently. And that, I'm led to believe, is Mahmoud El Ghahari's son, invited here by the Jordanian king, which is a very nice touch. His grandson here too. Confirmation of our referee from Qatar. It's perfect conditions in the Jordanian capital, and what a vital game this is. Just 1 point separating 4 nations, with Japan on top of this group with 10 points. Adnan Hamad twice masterminded Iraq wins over Australia, the 2004 Olympics and in the 2008 World Cup qualifiers. He would no doubt like to make it a hat-trick tonight. Holger Osik will have other ideas. He's only lost 2 competitive games since taking charge of Australia 2 years ago. One of those, of course, was in extra time in the final of the Asian Cup last January. The pitch looks good. The Australians look focused, and they will have to be this evening. And the first thing they're going to have to do is quieten this crowd down. We are going to have a momentary pause while the assistant referee checks the goal netting behind Amr Shafi. Everything is now to his liking. And we are all set for go in Amman. Mark Schwarzer, cap number 101 for him. It could be a busy night for the Socceroos number 1. Jordan will come out firing. They've been building this up all week. They have to win. Australia dare not lose. So we're underway in Amman. Australia in their change kit of predominantly royal blue, launching the first attack. It is Andy Harper by Middle Eastern standards. Rather cool temperatures, and it's a night really for cool heads for the Socceroos.
Certainly to start with, Simon, it's a perfect night for football. Often the Socceroos confront some very difficult climactic conditions in this part of the world, but Amman's really turned it on tonight. It's been a dry heat since the players have been here, and there's a beautiful cooling breeze sweeping through the stadium, which makes the playing conditions absolutely perfect. The pitch, variable. It looks good from a distance, verdant in fact, but it oscillates between hard and soft in various parts of the field. So the players are going to have to be mindful of their footing.
David Carney, one of the earliest to slip on the surface. Slight injury concern too over Amr Deeb, the Jordanian captain. He's not only the vice-captain, but regular skipper Abdullah Deeb is, of course, out through suspension tonight. Well, what a build-up we've had here in Amman, Harps. The posters all around the city, the radio, apparently, according to our cab driver, has been full of it all day. The fans urged to turn up in great numbers and in great voice, and they have certainly done that.
It's a brilliant atmosphere in Amman. As we were driving to the stadium, it was clearly evident that every cafe, and there's plenty around this place, were open for business with television screens blaring in preparation. And there's thousands of people who have been swarming around this stadium. That's over and above the 17 to 18 who've managed to cram in. The importance of this game is not lost on the locals, not for a second.
Just filling each other out, the two teams in these opening stages. Matt Mackay in that central midfield role where he did so well alongside Mark Bresciano against Lebanon a few days ago. It's a different test entirely. Jordan, much stiffer opposition, and desperately in need of a good result. And here's one of their key men, Ode Al-Saifi, looking to attack the Australian defence. He's around one, and the shot by Abu Hashashi really didn't get a hold of it properly, and Matt Mackay will tidy up for Australia. Flicked on by Tim Cahill, looking to link up with Alex Bross. There's potential in that partnership for the Australians.
Well, you'd certainly think so, and with the inclusion of Brett Holman as well, you'd imagine that's even more headache for Jordan. Interesting discussion point around the inclusion of Brett Holman. Not a surprise in itself because he's been so outstanding, but starting on the left of midfield where Rukavica started against Lebanon.
Now there might be some joy for Robbie Cruz here. He's got past the fullback and he picked out a teammate. Cahill arriving, and Amr Shafi drops gratefully on the ball. What a chance for the Socceroos.
And one that Tim Cahill would normally nail. But Robbie Cruz to the fore early down the right-hand side, making an immense nuisance of himself. Alex Brosk was the first recipient on the near post. Beautiful touch from Brosk. The awareness that Timmy Cahill was arriving, and Cahill would score 9 out of 10 of those. It's put on for him. And Amir Shafi in goal for Jordan. Gets an early sight of the ball. He doesn't need any welcoming. He's a super goalkeeper. The locals reckon he's the best in Asia. Not quite sure how much they've seen of Mark Schwarzer or Eiji Kawashima, for that matter, out of Japan. They certainly think he's better than Ali Al-Habsi of Amman.
Amr Deeb's ball in, and Sasha Ognanovsky just getting his angles slightly wrong. Australia get away with it. He's known as the Whale locally. Amr Shafi, the Jordanian goalkeeper. I think it's a compliment. I think it's something to do with his large frame that he managed to spread across the goal and deny Tim Cahill. Holman feeding the New York Red Bull star now. Still seems strange to say that. Quickly taken throw in. Mackay trying to burst through.
Well, Timmy Cahill's been prominent early. A couple of good touches, effort on goal. Very interesting to see how the team settles down. Brett Holman, of course, starting on the left of midfield where Rukavica started. You'd be very surprised if Holman remains anchored to the flank. And interesting, Simon, because players get territorial. They look to exert their influence over their part of the ground, and Brett Holman drifts from the left flank to get involved in the game. How does that work with Timmy Cahill? How does that work with Bresciano?
Brosk riding two challenges. Now with Hassan Abdel Fattah, who's arguably Jordan's best player. And listen to the roar as he nutmegs an Australian in the centre circle. They will cheer every touch for the team in white tonight, this crowd. Ode Al-Saifi, he's strong. Down he goes, and Lucas Neal is penalised. The Australian captain doesn't like it.
Yeah, I think the referee was sucked in there. The pitches don't lie. Well, if anything should have gone the way of Lucas Neal, who had his shirt pulled. In the foot race, however, he was beaten by O'Day Al-Saifi. He is the danger man. They've got 2 or 3. Have Jordan.
Australia have a 5-man wall. There are 2 Jordanians in there as well. Three standing over the set piece. Early test perhaps for Mark Schwarzer. Referee having to do some sorting out on the edge of the penalty area.
I wonder how many times Sashok Danovsky's going to be having that exchange with the ref through this upcoming league season in Qatar.
Well, is it going to be Ahmedib, the captain? Straight into the wall. Easily dealt with. Looked like there was a trip there on Brosk as well. And Matt Mackay is certainly letting the Qatari official know of that. Told in no uncertain terms to be quiet. Well, I think that surely should have been a free kick.
It definitely has been awarded as a free kick. I think Matt Mackay's words to the ref were about the body check on him last time he ventured into the penalty area.
Good flick on by Cahill. The pace of Alex Brosk gets him there first, needs a bit of help. Carney arriving, boxed in Brosk, takes the throw.
Excellent work, Alex Brosk. Just saw the way the ball kicked up then. The flick on from Tim Cahill, who himself did well to win the first possession. Brosk then having to shepherd the ball and protect it against 2 defenders, which became 3.
Clever work, Matt Mackay off the shins of Ahmedib.
And unsurprisingly, it's been a boisterous start by Jordan.
We expected nothing less. Fans were filling the grounds about 2.5 hours pre-kickoff. They've been in fine voice ever since they arrived. Here's Cahill. Bresciano. Wilkshire looking to cross from deep. Headed clear by Al-Hanana. Use of the hands by Ahmed Hale.
Just that brief period for Australia when they had some settled possession. Lucas Neal is looking to get a delay of the restart in his favour up against Ahmed Hale.
Bresciano will float it towards the back post, and Cahill's done well to control that. Looks in good touch, doesn't he, Tim Cahill, at the moment? Claims the corner and gets it.
He's really enjoying his time of it at the moment. Tim Cahill leading the line with Alex Brosk, using his body beautifully. He's probably been Australia's most prominent in these opening moments.
So chance for Lucas Neal and Sasha Ogdanovsky to venture forward. David Carney to deliver. It's a deep one beyond the goalkeeper, and hand used by Cahill. Might have been a foul before that as well. Scored his 25th international goal against Lebanon a few days ago. Just 4 behind Damien Mori on the all-time list, and he's having a pretty frank exchange of views as well with Shadi Abu Hashhash. Al-Saifi runs straight into Wilkshire. First touch by Cruz was good, but he was fairly clattered just shy of halfway as we pass the 10-minute mark.
They're going to need nothing in the sheds tonight, Jordan, are they? That was Mohamed Al Damiri with the late tackle. Cruz is okay. Floated long by Wiltshire, and Cahill again penalised, this time for holding. Now, mistake by Ognanovski, and away comes Ahmed Hayal, and he's forgotten to take the ball with him. Bresciano scraps for it. Ognanovski off balance, but he finds a teammate. Bresciano equally under pressure. That's well work by Australia.
Certainly worthwhile keeping an eye on Ognanovski. He lost balance twice within 30 seconds then. Once was nearly fatal, the second he managed to clear his lines, but he did miss a little bit of training this week in preparation. Bit of specialist treatment, appeared to be a tight hamstring. And off camera, he's just grabbing for that hamstring now. It suggests it's pretty heavily strapped. So, one for Socceroos fans and indeed fans of Jordan to keep an eye on. He looks in trouble to me, Sash Ognanovski.
Yep, he's just trying to stretch that hamstring out. Oh, he's just signalled to the bench, he can't continue. Well, that's a blow for Australia. They do have Matthew Sporanovic, of course. Big test for him. Playing his football in this part of the world, of course, these days with Al Arabi. He would be the natural replacement. Ognanovski will stay on for the moment, and Mark Bresciano has just dropped back into the back line just to provide some cover whilst they wait for the ball to go out, which has happened now. So the first change for Australia, and we've only played 12 minutes.
Well, in all the years, I've never seen Sash Ognanovski succumb to an injury. Just finishing his pre-season preparation with his new club in Qatar. The last couple of weeks of that was in Germany. On his own accounts, he was feeling fresh as a daisy and ready to go, but started to come a little bit unstuck the last couple of days, evidently at training.
Well, you can see the strapping underneath Ognanovski's shorts there. They obviously felt it was worth the risk. No sign of Sporanovic as yet, but the signal to Holger Osik was pretty clear, Harps. Sasha Ognanovski did not feel he could continue.
Well, you look at his body language, he's turned it in, and fair enough too. He can't continue. No way back at the moment, not for this game at least, for Sash Ognanovski, unless a minor miracle befalls the big man. It's not going to. Matt Sporanovic making his way to the halfway line. Big moment for Sporanovic.
So Sporanovic on for just his 15th cap. Left out of the squad to play Scotland. And of course, the rumours, don't know whether they're true or not, is that Holger Osik not particularly impressed by his switch to the Middle East. Here's a chance for him to stake his claim. It's a high-octane sort of an occasion to have to come off the bench after just 12 minutes. Mentally, he won't have been prepared for it.
No, but it's not going to be an excuse. He's going to have to slip straight into gear. The heat hasn't gone out of the early exchange. You can see the high field press. And his first touch was greeted by the fans who gave him the whistle, just to let him know that he'd made his way onto the King Abdullah Stadium.
Ball by Al Hanana finds Hassan Abdel Fattah. 4 Australians around him, and well, he seemed to get a bit confused there, didn't he, the attacking midfielder for Jordan?
He has a wonderful record at international level, and in so many ways Hassan Abdel Fattah exemplifies Jordanian football. Courage and strength, perseverance, but there are times when I'm not even quite sure he knows what he's doing. This was one such moment. He turned blind into a cul-de-sac and then passed blind to an offside player, and the moment has passed for Jordan.
Here he is on the ball again. You might remember him scoring that goal against Japan in the group stage at the Asian Cup last year. And Jordan was so close to pulling off a famous upset. Japan only equalising in injury time This is Al Hanana up into the night sky. Speranovic gets pinged, but he's well, at least let his opponent know he's there. Illegally so, it must be said. Amir Deeb, the recipients. A pretty sharp elbow to the back of the bonce. Jordan will continue through Al Hanana, straight at Carney. Anas Bani Yassin to Amir Deeb. Now, Ahmed Hayal, danger here for Australia, but Neil snuffs it out in an instant. Good play by the Socceroos skipper. Still with Hayal. Well, it was a fair way out, but well worth an effort. Mohamed Mustafa with the shot.
Just the last couple of occasions for Jordan, their options in the final third have let them down. Adnan Hamad, the Iraqi coach of Jordan, very well known to Australian football. Knocked the Olyroos out of the Athens campaign in 2004. And will be a little disappointed with his team's last couple of forays into Australia's defensive area. They had good possession in good position. But firstly, Abdul Fattah Hassan was wayward with his options. And on that last occasion, Ahmed Hayal had a better option to pass, chose to shoot.
Holman just letting it a little bit short for David Carney, who was pushing up in supports. Ball didn't quite go out for a corner, and Australia will have a throw. At the end where the Australian supporters are gathered, there's a fair few of them too. Good smattering of green and gold behind Amar Shafi's goal.
17 minutes gone, Simon. No real sign that Australia's settled down yet. Turning to play into Jordan's hands somewhat.
One really good chance, though, for Tim Cahill. The only chance of the game thus far. Hayal and Abdel Fattah getting in each other's way. Good feet by Brett Holman. Australia with a chance perhaps to silence the crowd here. Alex Brosk looking to turn and get the cross, and he will do now. Can he pick out a teammate? Cahill there again. And Shafi flies through the air, perhaps like a whale.
No, that's better from Sorry, Simon, that's better from Australia. Good perseverance from Brosk, and then beautiful touch on the cross. Timmy Carr making his point on the back post in no uncertain terms.
I think it was a dive for the cameras, in fairness, from Shafi.
But the good work in lead-up was from Brett Holman, and it's a pointer to what Australia need to do more of from this point on. The moment they feel like they've settled into the game and perhaps taken the edge off Jordan's intent and output, and they've got to get the ball on the ground and stay composed and move Jordan around. That's Australia's strength. Technically, they've got more ammunition than Jordan. They don't want to get into trench warfare because it's a very even contest when it gets into that register, and this bloke on the ball will be leading the charge.
And he's done brilliantly for Jordan, for Al Nashama, the brave. Hayal's ball out for Odai Al-Saifi. It's a curler, and Schwarzer was taking no chances. Corner for Jordan.
But he was alert to the danger, Mark Schwarzer. He knew immediately the flight of the ball. There was a bit of a breeze blowing too. It's into Mark Schwarzer's face just slightly, that breeze, but it was very comfortable for Australia's number one.
Ahmadib on corner duty. It's lifted the tension and the noise inside the stadium. Odai Al-Saifi looking to create the angle for the shot, but Australia get it clear. Well, you can feel the tension inside the King Abdullah Stadium tonight. What Japan's win over Iraq means, of course, is that, as we said at the start, just 1 point now separating 4 teams in the group. It really is up for grabs, these qualification spots, and the playoff spot, of course, for finishing third. Australia don't want that. Win tonight, they will move into second spot. In fact, even a draw would be good enough, but I'm sure they're not thinking in those terms. This is Al-Hanana. Back to him by Amir Deeb. Winning his 111th cap tonight. Wearing the captain's armband. Robbie Cruz has drifted in field. Solid challenge by Abu Hashhash. Now Uday Al-Saifi looking to release Hassan Abdel Fattah, who is onside. Danger here for Australia. Oh, and both Abdel Fattah and Carney went down like 9 pins inside the penalty area.
Well, he gave up too quickly, Abdel Fattah. He was annoyed by his slip, but he didn't realise that Carney was to go a millisecond afterwards, and had he retained his composure, I reckon he was a good chance to retrieve that ball. Another sign of the danger that Abdel Fattah poses for Australia.
Now no foul. Australia stopped. They thought the whistle should have blown, but the Qatari official has waved play on. And Australia, absolutely furious that that passage of play was allowed to continue. The shot was well wide in the final analysis. But the Socceroos claiming there was a foul on halfway. Ahmed Hayal with the lash of goal, which was well wide.
In defence of the Socceroos, who have been pretty vigorous in their protest. Here's the slip. Down goes Carney. I reckon if he's on his feet, he can at least put Matt Sporanovic under a bit of pressure. And that last breakaway off the free kick that Australia reckon should have gone their way. In defence of the Socceroos, who protested. I don't think Jordan expected play to continue either. It didn't look like they had much intent behind their attack. Perhaps mark that down as good sportsmanship or lack of awareness.
Or a poor shot. One of the three.
That's, of course, the third option.
Al-Hanana joining in with the attack for Jordan. Shot, or rather the cross, took a deflection, took all the sting out of it. Back with Hassan Abdel Fattah. Good shape to the delivery. Sporanovic holding it up momentarily. This is Al-Hanana, better looking cross. Al-Saifi just shepherded away from it, legally so, by Luke Wiltshire, allowing Schwarzer to gather.
Very good passage from Jordan. On the break, they look to be a little bit of a handful, that they can swing those balls in from crossing situations when their play is more settled. The physicality is going to test Australia, a test they didn't face against Lebanon. It was a good hit out against Lebanon as far as attacking football was concerned.
Now Wiltshire's found Matt Mackay in space here. Well, they perhaps tried to be a little too clever there. A man from Busan.
But the Cedars couldn't test really Australia's defence. They're certainly getting that test here today.
Here's Mackay again, picking up the scraps. Blocked in midfield though by Bassam Fati. Well, it's everything you would wish from a World Cup qualifier in Asia Hearts. Great atmosphere. Two sides going at it, hammer and tongs on the park as well.
Well, this is the value of being in Asia. It's been very frequently talked about. These trips into these countries, fantastic experiences to bend and stretch players and their character.
Robbie Cruz trying to twist and turn past the defender, Mohamed Al-Damiri.
The Socceroos' character has been tested in the opening 25 here. They've yet to exert their authority.
Perhaps looking to get Mark Bresciano on the ball a little more as well in midfield.
Well, they just need to get on the ball. Doesn't matter who it is, Simon. There's plenty of capability in that team to put the foot on the ball and control the passing, which has been poor and wayward. Maybe the occasion and the atmosphere has unnerved some very experienced players, but the touch is just not there. Players fighting with themselves for possession.
And in fairness, Jordan contesting every single ball, as you'd expect. So such a crucial game for them, and they want a response, of course, after that shellacking they took in Japan. They've made a pretty good fist of it in these opening 25 minutes. So just a couple of shots in the game so far. Not much action in either penalty area, in truth. Tim Cahill with the best of the opportunities, undoubtedly, for Australia. Hayal, he and Hassan Abdel Fattah have 11 goals between them in this World Cup qualifying campaign. Many of them, it must be said, against some of the Asian minnows, but you've still got to score them. And they do pose a threat, especially with Al-Saifi on the left-hand side as well. The only European-based player, incidentally, in this Jordanian squads. He plays in Greece for Skoda Xanthi. Although even he has been on loan back in Asia the last 12 months in Kuwait with Al Salmiya. It's a heavy challenge on Bresciano. Acknowledged by Ahmadib. But again, just another indication of every 50-50 ball is so eagerly contested.
They're right up for it. That rattled Bresciano's teeth. He's still recovering. Or maybe he got hurt a little bit lower down. The net result is the same. He'll have a second look next time the ball comes his way, as are most of the Australian players at the moment. The pressure has been intense from Jordan. And Australia in the moments like these, when they've had the ball settled in the middle to front third, haven't been as patient as they might be. I think their mentality needs to be, Simon, to take the sting out of Jordan and the crowd. They've got to look to build pressure, not necessarily finish with the ball in the penalty area every time they get it. From this point on, they've got to exert their authority, try and grind Jordan out of it as a football contest. Sloppy passes like that won't help.
Here's Ahmed Hayal, but he's left it a little bit short. Ahmadib still might profit from it. Carney's back in position now, and Australia should clear their lines, and they do through Matt Mackay. Those little errors at this level can prove very costly indeed, especially with Jordan in this mood.
Well, that last one from David Carney was enough to extract Holger Osik from his place in the bench. He now paces the technical area. But it's been symptomatic of Australia's opening stanza. Almost half an hour gone.
Oday Al-Saifi and Luke Wilkshire. That's going to be a good tussle down that flank.
A key tussle, Simon. He's such a powerful player. And Luke Wilkshire is such a tenacious competitor. He's been beaten once in the one-on-one situation.
Now Brett Holman, not seen too much of him as yet. He loses out to Anas Bani Yassin. Al-Hanana. Now Hassan Abdel Fattah. To Ahmadib. He's got good improvisation, hasn't he, Abdel Fattah? And you're right, Harp, sometimes I don't think even he knows what he's going to do.
But just look at that little exchange then, how much respect Jordan have earned for themselves in this opening period, because Australia weren't closing to put pressure on Hassan Abdel Fattah.
Now they've got an overlap on here. Can they find the delivery in towards the near post, and it's shanked behind somewhat by Lucas Neal. The danger averted for now at least.
It's not looking good at the moment for the Socceroos. They need to shake the lethargy. That was a haymaker from Lucas Neal. It could have been worse than the corner hit conceded, but it took a leading edge and flew into the gallery, and it just enables Jordan to build on their confidence brick by brick. They come into the equation more and more.
And Ahmadib is doing his bit. He's telling the crowd to lift themselves as if they need it. Short corner taken, back for Deeb, changes the angle, flicked onto the near post, and just wide. I think it was Shadi Abu Hash, or maybe even Anas Bani Yassin. No, it was Hash.
Well, it's been given as a corner, Simon. So the first contact was from Hash. I'm not sure where the second was, but it's advantage Jordan.
Maybe just skim the head of Lucas Neal, but they're building pressure.
It was a near thing for the Socceroos as it was.
Ahmadib from the near side. With the fans of Al Nashama in full voice. And again, it's Hash. Well, that doesn't cause quite as much concern for Schwarzer. Half an hour played. It's been a passionate half an hour, particularly by Jordan and those Australian supporters. Just that one real moment to cheer. Tim Cahill could and perhaps should have put the Socceroos in front in the opening minutes. Swept out by Bresciano towards Wiltshire. The cross from deep. Holman forced to backtrack and his first touch was heavy. Al Hanana in an instant. Neil gives it back to Wiltshire. Down the line for Cruz. They are full of energy though, Jordan, doubling up on Australian players whenever they get the opportunity. Ode Al-Saifi putting in a good shift down that left flank. Now a bit of room for Hassan Abdel Fattah. Allowed to turn and feed Ahmed Deeb. Can he pick out a teammate? This is Ahmed Hayal. Down he goes, right on the edge of the box. Free kick, Jordan. Very dangerous position for the Socceroos. Luke Wiltshire shakes his head. But in fairness to the referee, he was well positioned. And there was a grab on the shorts of Ahmed Hayal by Neil. Good decision.
Well, fair enough if he saw that. Fair enough. There wasn't any other contact. So the ref needed to have seen, from his vantage point, Lucas Neil grabbing the shorts. And if so, excellent decision. It puts Australia right under the cosh again. This game, the flow of this game has slipped away from the Socceroos quite markedly.
Well, does he go for placement or does he go for power here? There's a conference between 5 Jordanians as to who's going to hit it. Abdel Fattah fancies it. Well, Ahmadib tee it up for him. Real danger here for Australia. Hassan Abdel Fattah, and again the wall stands up and does its job.
I think Timmy Cahill copped that one right in the mush. He did his job in the wall for the Socceroos.
Danger still not completely gone, but Schwarzer grabs that. Well, it strikes the arm, doesn't it, of Tim Cahill, but referee rules it as not being intentional.
And the way Jordan have set up here, forcing Mark Schwarzer to kick it long. They want these contests. And they're making sure as best they can Australia can't play out from the back. And they want the defenders to kick it long into the tall timber in Jordan's defence.
Cahill boxed in again, this time by Mohammed Mustafa, and more words exchanged.
And the story of the half so far, Simon, is that the second balls that have been forced by those long clearances of Australia have more or less been picked up by Jordan.
Look at them again, doubling up on Cahill, but he gets the throw in. They launch it towards Cahill. Easily beaten in the air by Mohamed Al-Damiri. This is Sporanovic. Back to Neil. And again, good pressure by Jordan. Look how they close down the man in possession, forcing the turnover. And Al-Damiri is just on the same for Jordan, though. Wiltshire. Neil, infield for Bresciano. Now Holman finds that little pocket in between defence and midfield, but it's not a great pass by Holman, who's struggled to get an influence on the game. Maybe he will here. Holman around one challenge, shot takes a deflection, and Ahmed Shafi again has an easy save to make.
No, that was better from the Socceroos. Better because players willing to receive the ball, then get their head up and pass the ball in a positive fashion. Firstly, Holman looking to thread, Bresciano looking to thread, and lastly, Matt Mackay with a nice angled but forward ball through midfield, and Australia could attack. The deflection let Jordan off the hook as Brett Holman looked to size up a goal-scoring opportunity. But moments like those for the Socceroos have been too few and far between in the 35 minutes that have elapsed. Here's beautiful work from Holman to open up the angle. Bassem Fati there, just stretching and getting the deflection. Otherwise, Amman Shafi would have had a difficult job stopping that one.
Flags up on the far side, offside against Tim Cahill. Just a little lull at half, and a chance for us to catch our breath. It's been that sort of the first half, which has run for nearly 36 minutes now. In fairness, for all Jordan's huff and puff, Andy, haven't really put Schwarzer under too much sustained pressure.
Well, that's the one area of their game where they need correction at half-time. Adnan Hamad, the coach, of course, very experienced. Has been named Coach of Asia in his illustrious career. Asian Coach of the Year, to put the title correctly. And he's got his team tactically set up beautifully. They're not letting Australia play. They've won that particular contest.
Misjudgment by Carney in the air.
But they need to be more relaxed in the front third. They've fluffed their lines when they've had some good opportunities.
Now Alex Brosk herring after this one. He's going to win the foot race with the defender. Can he provide the finish? The angle's a bit narrow. Help arriving now from Brett Holman. The Brosk's pace was terrific there. It was like a racing car going past an old banger. Fortunately for Australia, Wilkshire has now committed the foul. And gets a yellow card. Well, he was late.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough too. His touch let him down, unusual. Luke Wiltshire's technique is normally very robust.
Luke Wiltshire's third yellow card of this World Cup qualifying campaign. He has served one suspension already.
Even that switch of play from Brett Holman wasn't what Holger Osik would be looking for. Not the fact that he chose to switch the play, but the pass had so much air in it. Instead of zinging it along so that the advantage could be taken by Wiltshire, the ball looped across to him. And it's those quality control issues that the Socceroos have to pay really close attention to at half-time. If not before, they're going to be in trouble before then if they don't lift their game.
Neil, not a good clearance. Again, perhaps slightly off balance. And Australia back under pressure again. Bresciano just holding up Hassan Abdel Fattah. Bassem Fati down the line. Now he'll try and hit Ahmadib crossfield. This is Al-Hanana. Header by Deeb. Sporanovic for Carney. And again, just not a moment to settle for the Australians. It's been a first half full of energy from Jordan.
You've got to feel for David Carney on that one. The ball bounced high. It didn't sit at all, and he had two players breathing right down his neck. But they've done a brilliant job, Jordan, in this first half.
Now it's dropped into the path of Robbie Cruz, and he'll look for Tim Cahill. It's just too deep for the Australian number 4. They will get a throw.
It's the first time you've called Robbie Cruz's name, Simon, probably since the opening minutes when he forced that goal-scoring opportunity for Timmy Cahill. And that's a symptom of Australia's problem. At the moment, because they can't get their foot on the ball and keep the ball, they can't bring their danger players like Cruz into the football match.
Now, referees spotted an infringement there. Free kick for Jordan. And we're into the final 5 minutes of a pulsating first half. Plenty of high-intensity action, not too many goal-scoring chances. Mackay finds Cruz in a bit of room. Wilkshire pushing forward. 4 in the box for Australia. Bross the target at the near post. Odail Safi, it only finds Neil. Back for Cruz, can he keep it in play?
There's a clever ball from Lucas Neil, and clever too from Robbie Cruz to take the quick throw.
Wilkshire's delivery blocked by Mohamed Mustafa, and that'll be a corner. You fancied pre-game, Andy, that Robbie Cruz might be able to do a bit of damage down that flank.
I certainly did, and he's had the ball on probably 3 occasions, and twice he's caused some trouble. Australia have just got to get the ball to their danger men in a far more efficient manner than they've done in this opening half.
Well, they've got a corner here, which Bresciano will deliver, the outswinger, towards Baranovic. And in fact, the header eventually was by Bross, but again, there's a foul spotted in there against Shadu Abu Hashash.
So that's against Mats Baranovic for climbing. That's what the ref would have decided.
Well, it's clear as day on the replay. Well spotted by the referee. Elbow to the side of the head by Matthew Speranovic. Amar Shafi to take the free kick. Plays for one of the local clubs, Al Wadat. One of the 2 big clubs in Jordan. Al Faisli being the other. They have quite a ding-dong derby in these parts when those 2 meet. Sometimes at this stadium. But there's quite a noise on those days, and there's quite a noise here tonight as well. It's been a really tough encounter so far for Australia. Carney again leaving it a bit short. His touch is just a little bit off with the passing. And Speranovic bundles over Ahmed Hail. Free kick Jordan. Vital Australia see it through to half-time, Andy.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, this first half, Australia have been sucked into the place they didn't want to be. And that's a physical contest. No one's really got control of the ball. That's the way Jordan like it. Holger Osick wouldn't have planned for the half that's eventuated.
Bassam Fati to deliver. He's got a good left peg, so it'll be an in-swinger. In fact, it's too much of an in-swinger. Schwartz are happy to watch it float by. Fourth World Cup qualifying campaign for Mark Schwarzer. Debut back in 1993, famously against Canada. What a stalwart he's been between the posts for the green and gold. Bit of an aimless ball from Anas Bani Yassin, but Neil still has to be careful with Ahmed Hayal pressuring. Now Ahmedib gives it to Wilkshire. Bounces up into the fence along the side of the goal. Standing room only at the back. In fact, it's standing room only pretty much everywhere in this stadium, apart from where we're sitting, Hobbs, and even we're stood up. Almost at half-time in Amman. Australia have survived some decent pressure from Jordan. The resolve has been pretty good defensively as we move into just the 1 minute of added time. Perhaps one more Jordan attack. O'Dale Safey launches one. And again, it had all the sting taken out of it due to the deflection. Australia again try and play out from the back. Again, there's heavy pressure from Jordan, but they've passed it well. Cahill. Bresciano. 2 over on the left. One of which is Holman here. This will be the last attack of the first half. Back it comes for Mackay. Australia content just to keep the ball and run down the clock. Eventually Wiltshire does chip it forwards. Bross can't get there. This is Shadi Abu Hashhash looking for Ahmed Hayal. Sporanovic puts it into touch, and still we play on, but no longer. Well, there we go. Half-time in Amman. There's another look at the shots from O'Dale Safey, which did strike the arm of Bresciano, which made it rather easier for Mark Schwarzer. It's been a high-octane first half. Jordan have huffed and puffed. No real chances for them, though. Australia have had the best couple, Tim Cahill in particular, after 3 minutes. But after soaking up that pressure and losing Sasha Ognanovski to injury, they'll probably be pretty glad to get into the sheds at half-time with the scoreline goalless. At half-time in the Jordanian capital, it's Jordan 0, Australia 0.
We moved into a different neighborhood, which was the Brownville section of Brooklyn. It was just very horrific, very tough. As a little boy, I was fat.
Welcome back to Amman. News of a substitution to bring you for Australia. Miller Jedinak is on for Mark Bresciano at the interval. And Jordan about to make a change as well. Mohammed Al-Damiri is going to be replaced by Saeed Merjan. So 2 ostensibly defensive midfielders on, one for either side. Merjan for Jordan, Jedinak for Australia. As Jordan get us back underway at the start of this second half. Plenty of energy about them in the first period. A bit more precision required in the passing for Australia, a bit more purpose perhaps. But Australia, who have lost Sasha Ognanovski to injury, crucially Andy Harper, as yet haven't lost a goal.
No, and they haven't really been tested in their own penalty area, not the way Jordan might have, given some of the promising situations they'd carved out for themselves. It'll be very interesting to see when news filters through whether the Bresciano substitution is tactical or for injury reasons.
What's your gut feel, Andy?
Well, my gut feel is tactical. My gut feel is Australia were just getting battered physically. And Miller Jedinak, I'm sure, well, I get the feeling is there to put a stake in the ground for the Socceroos.
Talking of which, Holger Osik has come racing to the edge of the technical zone to complain to the referee about this challenge on Robbie Cruz. Caught late, and Cruz in some pain. And Holger Osik is remonstrating quite purposefully with the 4th official on the touchline. It has been that sort of game. No quarter asked, none given. And those Jordanian fans in the stands, and there are 18,000 of them here at the King Abdullah Stadium, have demanded nothing less. And that foul on Cruz does give Luke Wiltshire a chance to float in a free kick. Neil is up there, goes deeper than that for Jedinak, and it's just wide of the post. And it should perhaps have been 1-0 for Australia. Free header for Miller Jedinak, just off the bench, very nearly onto the score sheet.
Well, it was flighted beautifully by Luke Wiltshire. Jedinak rose strongly for his first touch in this World Cup qualifier, and really it should have been a goal. Australia have had 2 excellent chances now. Early on for Tim Cahill, forcing the save, routine as it was for Amir Shafi. And Miller Jedinak on that second occasion couldn't even find the target. But he's won that header from the goal kick, which you'd reckon is his brief for this second half. Australia unable over the first 45 minutes to control the football match with possession. They got sucked into the vortex of a physical confrontation from which they couldn't seemingly get out, and I just get the feeling that Miller Jedinak has been put on as a circuit breaker. Of course, that theory will completely go to water if the news comes through that Bresciano was injured, but...
Now given away by Mackay in midfield. Substitute Merjan getting involved. This is Amir Deeb, who will hang it up towards Hassan Abdel Fattah. But a weak header in the final analysis.
Well, the two substitutes, one for either side, having a telling contribution with their first touch. Jedinak's header from the free kick going wide when a goal beckoned, and Saeed Merjan bursting through midfield there. He's another rangy, muscular Jordanian midfielder who, like the rest of his teammates, has got a real appetite for this occasion.
Cruz. Spiranovic leaving it short for Mackay. Carney. Almost got the benefit of a ricochet, but not quite. Jordan will look to break through O'Day Al-Saifi, who's wrong-footed Luke Wilkshire, and will steam away, pursued by Jedinak. Down goes Al-Saifi, and the referee says that's a foul by Jedinak, and Jordan have a penalty. Big decision. Big decision. Holger Osik again remonstrating with the fourth official. The Jordanian fans in raptures. But it will bear another look on replay.
Well, my first reaction, Simon, is no penalty. Jedinak has Saifi rounded up. There is a touch. He's made contact, Mila Jedinak. Whether that's enough to force that dive from Al-Saifi thereafter is now a moot point, because the referee has boarded. He's pointed to the spot.
Well, if ever Australia needed Mark Schwartz's heroics from a penalty kick, it's now. In the boiling cauldron of the King Abdullah Stadium, Hassan Abdel Fattah to take the spot kick. Can he outpsych the Jordanian? He scores! Hassan Abdel Fattah! And if there was a roof on this stadium, it would have been fairly lifted off by the noise that reverberates around the King Abdullah Stadium. 1-0 Jordan.
Well, that is a penalty converted with immense assurance from their leading marksman, Hassan Abdel Fattah. So often the hero for Jordan, and he's given his team the lead here at the King Abdullah Stadium, the King's brother, the Prince here, to watch his team take the lead and resuscitate their hopes for World Cup qualification. Beautifully taken penalty, not even Schwarzer guessing the correct way can save. And what a turning point. Mila Jedinak just off the bench, drawn into the contest. The referee awarded the penalty for the contact on O'Day Al-Saifi.
But was it the right decision, Andy? That's what Australian supporters will be querying. And I have to say, I think there's a lot of doubt. Anyway, it's a moot point now. Australia chasing the game, and they're in trouble here in Amman. And perhaps in trouble in this qualifying group.
Well, it just gets more and more interesting. But the city of Amman has gone off. You're only getting a sample of it here in the stadium. The place is heaving.
Well, now is the time for Australia to show their mettle. They've done it before in World Cup qualifiers. Luke Wilkshire's left a foot in there, and Wilkshire has already been booked. He's got to be really careful. This could go from bad to worse here for Australia if they're not very careful. I don't think the referee's seen it. The linesman might have done.
I don't think the assistant referee is indicating to the ref that he needs to have a chat with him. Holger Osik, interestingly, to the edge of the technical area, has waved Luke Wilkshire out of it. He knows how tight this might have been, and indeed might still be. No, I think he'll get away with this one. It was clearly a 50-50 challenge, and Luke Wilkshire wasn't looking to come off second best. And that's going to be the end of it. The ref is walking away.
Well, Bassem Fati certainly made a meal of it, but I do have a feeling that there was contact from Wiltshire. And Fati departs the scene on a stretcher for now at least. We'll see just how seriously injured he is in a moment. There's no emotion on the face of Adnan Hamad, in charge of Jordan for the 50th time, but inwardly he will be delighted that his team has got their noses in front.
Well, he's outfoxed Australia to this point as coach of Jordan. Australia have an almighty job in front of them to get out of this hole in which they find themselves. There's going to be a yellow card for delaying the restart. That'll be Amir Shafi suspended for the next match. But that's not Australia's concern.
Well, perhaps, just perhaps, Luke Wiltshire dodged a bit of a bullet there. But Australia still right in the firing line. Listen to the noise around this stadium.
And still the task for Australia, Simon, despite the tumult, which is significant, is to get the foot on the ball and try to start controlling the football match.
Mackay trying to get Tim Cahill involved. That's a goal kick. Well, can they dig themselves out of this, Harps? Have you seen enough evidence of it so far that they can?
Well, they haven't played well today, not the way they can, most certainly.
And of course, there's no Bresciano on the park now to prompt them in midfield either.
They do have enough weaponry, however. Just one substitution up Holger Osik's sleeve. Sashok Danovsky replaced after 5 or 6 minutes, just to recap, and Bresciano off at half-time. But in Holman, Cahill, Brosk, Matt Mackay, there's enough guile and cunning to get out of this. But they've got to get a share of the ball, more than a share of the ball, and they've got to turn Jordan out of it. And at the moment, the turnovers and the physicality is playing into Jordan's hand. It's been the story from the get-go, and now Jordan have got their nose in front, care of that penalty from Hassan Abdul Fattah.
His 22nd goal at international level.
We have just received word that Mark Bresciano picked up a knock in that first half. Indeed, there was that moment where he looked a bit ginger. In any event, Mila Jedinak has been given the opportunity to do his bit for the qualifying campaign.
Australian backs to the wall here in Amman. What have they got in response? Jedinak. Cruz immediately shut down by Shadi Abu Hashhash, and away comes O'Day El Saifi, pursued by both Jedinak and Neal. Looked as though the ball might have crossed the whitewash, but no throw-in awarded. Cruz. And they're just buzzing around the Australians like flies. Wiltshire maybe caught a bit late there. You can almost physically see the adrenaline pumping through the veins of the Jordanians, and at the moment Australia just don't have the answer.
Well, this is what I found so appealing about Jordan as a football team at the Asian Cup in 2011. They really stuck it to all their opponents, eventually bowing out 2-1 against Uzbekistan in the quarter-final. But to get that far, they had to tussle with Japan, against whom they drew. They had to beat regional heavyweight Saudi Arabia, and in the last group match they had to see off Syria, who played a similar style in that Asian Cup, and they got through on will and spirit, and we're seeing plenty of that here tonight at the King Abdullah Stadium.
We need to see it from Australia, like they did against Japan, with only 10 men. Carney floats it in, it might drop here for Holman. Amr Shafi grabs the ball. Cue a huge chorus of cheers. Incidentally, beneath us, an ambulance has just taken away Mohammed Al-Damiri, who was replaced at half-time. So clearly he's picked up an injury for Jordan as well. Looks like he's off to the local hospital. Jedinak looks for and finds Robbie Cruz. Cahill and Brosk wait for the centre. Wiltshire delivers. Away for a corner.
That was a good.
Yassin.
Sorry, Simon. That was a good ball from Mila Jedinak. Nicely clipped, diagonal ball over the top of Bassem Fati, who has moved to left fullback. And I reckon that gives Robbie Cruz even more of an opportunity. He started the game centre half, did Bassem Fati. But at left fullback, I think he's more vulnerable.
We played almost an hour in Amman. Now would be a very timely moment to get an equaliser, but it's not to be from that corner. David Carney putting his head bravely in, but Jordan are away here. And Sporanovic with a crucial interception to take it away from Amir Deed. Australia forced back on their heels from their own corner. Brosk. Well, this is what the World Cup is all about. No free gifts to get to Brazil in 2014. Australia are going to have to work hard for a point or better here in Amman. Another tough away game to come next month in Doha against Iraq, who will be equally desperate for points. Carney slips it past the fullback. Can he find the cross? It's disappointing from David Carney. Very disappointing.
Well, a lot spoken about David Carney playing at left fullback and his defensive capability. There's not a lot of discussion, however, about his attacking quality, because it's normally on that left foot so reliable. And having made the space for the cross, I reckon most Socceroos fans are expecting a better completion from Carney than he delivered. And maybe that's a sign that Australia generally are rattled here in Amman. They certainly haven't looked settled at all, the Socceroos, and they're struggling to get a foothold in the game.
Now they do complete a triangle involving Robbie Cruz. But he's boxed in again by Bassem Fati. They've defended stoutly, Jordan. Just two real chances created for the Socceroos. Holman needs to get involved more, gets a corner. What can Luke Wilkshire produce here? It's not a good delivery. Throw in, not a bad outcome given the lack of quality on the cross. Can he do better here, Wilkshire? Third go for Luke Wilkshire. Now he gets it into a better area. Volley clear by Hanana. Retrieved by Neil in the deep. Picks out Cahill, chested down for Holman. That's better for Australia. Jedinak into the channel for Cruz. Another corner. Good little spell of pressure for Australia.
It is. They're managing to get Jordan pinned down and enjoy some territory where they can get some repeated attacks at Jordan's penalty area. The corners that have resulted, however, have been poor from Luke Wilkshire. His last two have failed to beat the first defender on that near post corner of the 6-yard box. Third time lucky, perhaps, for Australia.
What's the delivery like? It's better this time. Sporanovic leaps. And Jedinak sticks out a boot. It's bobbling around inside the 6-yard box. Nobody in blue can get a final touch. Jordan survive. They're living on their nerves somewhat. Play will be stopped for an injury.
And there's going to be plenty of this from this point on, which is not to suggest painful contact followed. The ball bobbling around, it's symptomatic of the game in general, really. That's an important palm there from Amir Shafi. Jordan not able to effectively clear.
It's been a real scrap, hasn't it? Jordan almost doing to Australia what Australia did to Japan in Brisbane. Imposing their game on the opposition. Well, Neil complains about the award of that free kick, but there was a little nudge there on Ahmed Hayal. Trying to do it on the blind side, the Australian skipper. Well, he's got most decisions right, the referee,
Yeah.
but what about the big one?
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the big one. He has got most of the niggly little ones right. The biggest of them all, the penalty for the foul on O'Day Al-Saifi, a huge talking point.
Schwarzer launching a huge kick downfield. It's gained Australia good territory. Mackay. Sporanovic. Mackay for Holman. Australia started to play a bit here. Holman with the shots. Well, he had to take it quickly and the direction was poor.
Well, that's again better. Apart from the finish, that's a measured passing through midfield, and perhaps the exertions of Jordan will begin to take their toll. All of the players are playing their club football in the Middle East. The leagues for which are yet to start this week and the week after.
O'Day Al-Saifi has been a constant thorn in the Socceroos side, and here he goes again. That should be Schwartz's, though.
And it wouldn't be a surprise if they can't continue the huge output of the first hour for the remaining half hour. Perhaps there's a window of opportunity for the Socceroos, who have had the better of the last 6, 7 or 8 minutes.
For Jordan will catapult them into second place behind Japan. Cruz with the ball in. Cahill's header tipped over by Amar Shafi, but it's better.
But it's much better.
It was Alex Brosk, my mistake.
Much better. Sorry, Simon. Much better from the Socceroos. They're looking to pass their way through and around now. Excellent understanding, Luke Wiltshire, to know that Robbie Cruz had the speed. He made the inside-out run. Got in behind Basim Fatih with a nice cross.
Wilkshire's corner. Ahmed Hayal invited to chase. Carney always the favourite. Mackay to set Australia going again. Through Jedinak. Ball at a fair old pace to Brosk. He couldn't control it. Jordan back in possession. I tell you, over the top of the stadium, there's people hanging over the railings, and they're hundreds. They've not paid to get in, but they're enjoying what they're seeing.
It certainly wouldn't pass Australian OH&S standards, for sure. They are very precariously poised.
As are Australia. Brosk's trying to put the defender Mohamed Mustafa under pressure. This is Jedinak. Jordan sitting a bit deeper now. No longer the full pressing game. No, they can't do that for the full 90 minutes. And of course they have the advantage. Happy to sit back and play on the counter. Sporanovic preventing the corner, in fact winning the foul. Almost at the midway point of the second half here in Amman. Jordan 1, Australia 0. Hassan Abdel Fattah with a penalty. 5 minutes into the second period. If you were Holger Osek, Andy, would you be started to think possibly about using that third and final change?
Well, not just yet. I'm looking at the team now, if I'm Holger Osek, and I'm sensing that they're starting to squeeze Jordan out of the game. They're resorting now to just kicking it long and with only one player chasing. Now, of course, they can afford, or feel they can afford to do that because they're sitting back to protect the lead, but that's going to be inviting Australia more and more into the equation. Holger Osek will just be buoyed slightly by his team's last 10 or 15.
They win it again in midfield. Cahill slides it into the path of Wilkshire. Cahill dropping a bit deeper to link up with the play. Mackay out for Carney. Jedinak. Patient build-up by Australia. Wilkshire is trying to move Jordan around, and they've managed to get a little break here. Wilkshire. Man over on the left is Carney. Three waiting in the centre for the cross. Will it drop for Cahill as half-hearted appeals for handball?
A difficult angle for Ross to convert. The ball in from David Carney.
Coleman. Mergent sticks out a boot, and Jordan are back in possession of the ball. Abdel Fattah to release Ahmed Hayal. Support from O'Day Al-Saifi. Not quite the same urgency about Jordan going forward now, Hubs. Jedinak trying to burst through two challenges, wins a free kick. Tentative signs of an Australian revival. Jedinak. Wilkshire. Square for Mackay.
Very, very bunched, that attack from Australia. There's no width, either right or left.
Cahill lays it back for Mackay. Jedinak square. And he'll have a pop. Miller Jedinak, oh, it was on target. And it was moving in the air too. That's a good stop from Ahmad Shafi.
Real good stop. Fabulous hit. And we know he's got dynamite in that right peg, Miller Jedinak.
Cruz, all Australia at the moment. Well, until that moment.
Indeed. Not sure if it was a save, Simon. Saved by the post. Jedinak takes aim, plenty of dip. Great action, good effort. Jordan survive.
You're right, rattle back off the woodwork.
Archie Thompson has been summoned. Simon?
Well, he scored off the bench against Lebanon last week. Jordan are going to make a change shortly as well. Meantime, they'll look for their goal scorer, Hassan Abdel Fattah, unsuccessfully. Australia will build through Cahill. And now Carney. Crossfield ball, it's not a good one for Cruz. Really having to expend energy to keep that ball in play. Thankfully, it's not the warmest Middle East night we've ever experienced in World Cup qualifying. Mackay. Now Cahill will make the burst into the penalty area. Can Mackay pick out a teammate from the cross? He hangs it up, and it's Shadi Abu Hashash who gets there first. Now, the break is on for Jordan. It's 3 against 2 here. Wilkshire trying to square up the numbers. O'Day Al-Saifi on the ball. Looking to take on Neil on the outside, who makes the half challenge, and they've scored! Amir Deeb! 2-0 for Jordan. Adnan Hamad punches the air. Is that the killer goal in this contest? A breakaway for Jordan. O'Day Al-Saifi did the hard work. Amir Deeb with the tap-in. 2-0.
Jordan too willing, too fast on the counter. Questionable decision by Mile Edenek to try and win the ball on the edge of the D at Jordan's end of the field. He couldn't get to the ball. Jordan were away and the dominoes fell from that point on. Luke Wiltshire was straining to recover. He couldn't make up the ground. Smiranovic and Lucas Neal stood between Jordan and a breakaway goal. And as it was, squeezed home at the near post by Amir Deeb to give Jordan a 2-goal lead. Again, it's the man who won the penalty, which gave them the lead, who sets up the second goal, who's now taken his lead. O'Day Al-Saifi, past Lucas Neal, a killer pass to the front post. And Amir Deeb, the danger men for Jordan, have put Australia to the sword here at the King Abdullah Stadium.
And look what it means to Adnan Hamad. He knows it's a long way back now for Australia. Well, there's a huge wall of sound, as there has been for most of this evening around the King Abdullah Stadium. A couple of substitutions to update you with. O'Day Al-Saifi, who's really torn Australia apart tonight, has gone off to be replaced by Anas Hijjar, and Archie Thompson is on instead of Brett Holman for the Socceroos.
Well, that might have been a fair call for a penalty on Alex Brosk. That last attack from Australia, he looked to be completely manhandled when he received that ball.
Well, I can tell you, we're situated at the top of the press box, and all the press men are up on their feet cheering with the Jordan fans. They think they've won it. There's still 15 or so minutes to go here in Amman yet. But boy, this is going to be some comeback for Australia, if it's going to come at all.
Well, they were starting to look like they were in control. Jordan had sat back, absorbed the pressure. And a couple of questionable decisions opened up the field for the counter-attack.
An arm across Robbie Cruz, that leaves him down on the deck. Well, it's a cauldron that's fairly bubbling at the moment. And Adnan Hamad, who's beaten Australia twice before, in 2004 at the Olympics, and then in 2008, both times with Iraq, is only a quarter of an hour away from making it a hat-trick, this time with Jordan.
He'll be wishing he could play Australia every game.
Well, Jordan have got second wind again, and they've got another free kick. Hassan Abdel Fattah has been superb for them. There are some glum faces on the Australian bench. It was a goal against the run of play, in fairness.
Well, they set it up. They set up the trap beautifully. Well, they've just won the tactical battle here. They have, to this point, sucked Australia into the contest that Australia needed to avoid so that they could exert their superiority. They got the penalty to give them the lead.
They're looking for a third goal here. Just wouldn't drop for Abdel Fattah.
As dubious as that was. And then they sat back and invited Australia in and stung them on the counter-attack. And they set 2 goals in front of the number 2 ranked team in Asia.
Just a quarter of an hour left for play. Here's David Carney. Can they reduce arrears? Carney's still going. Ross couldn't quite dig it out. Jordan adamant in their resolve again, and well, these are punishing runs that Luke Wiltshire's having to make back to track Hassan Abdel Fattah. They could be through for a third goal here. What a chance! Oh, he's put it on the top of the net. Well, that would have been the cherry on top for Amir Deeb. Australia ripped apart again on the counter.
Well, this is smacking of Australia versus Iraq in the Asian Cup 2007. And we struggled badly on that game. Managed, I guess, somewhat come out of it, but it's been a masterful performance from Jordan so far, playing right into their strengths. And that should have been 3. And doesn't that chance for Timmy Cale on about 3 or 4 minutes come into very sharp focus?
And talking of sharp focus, Harps, the game against Iraq in Doha next month. Wow.
Yeah.
What a huge encounter that's going to be.
Yeah.
Providing, of course, the scoreline stays something similar to this. Holger Osik complaining this week about the schedule. His team has had to endure 3 away games out of the first 4. Flip side is, of course, they'll finish off with a run of home matches, and they've got a corner here. Well, they look to get a toehold in the game.
Yeah, and for the Socceroos, instead of looking at 2 goals they've got to get, they've just got to break it down and get 1 bounce of the ball. They need 1 player to make 1 telling attack on the ball, break the duck, get it to 2-1, and then reassess.
Wilkshire's corner. Pops out for Matt Mackay. Jordan looking to counter again. Australia could be in behind here, though. Lucas Neal, but there's nobody in the middle for Australia.
Well, that was one such opportunity which needed to be made more of.
Well, Jordan's next hit out is against Oman next month, also away from home. But they've got 2 away matches to come. They also play away to Iraq in November. But if they can get 3 points against the Australians here, they will go into those matches in huge heart and in 2nd place in the table. Australia will be stuck with Oman and Iraq on 2 points from their 3 games. Still a long way to go, of course, in qualifying. But this is a real smack on the jaw for the Socceroos after that morale-boosting performance in Lebanon just a few days ago. They have got a free kick, though, courtesy of Robbie Cruz.
Yeah, well, we need more from this from Robbie Cruz. He's the man of the moment in a lot of ways. And quite reasonably asked the referee, on the basis of the fact that they keep fouling me repetitively, where's the yellow card, ref? Carney to take the free kick.
There's plenty of aerial threat there for Australia. Cahill, Spiranovic, and the goalkeeper's there first. Good punch too, got good distance. Now Australia have to scramble back, but Matt Mackay should tidy up. And we're into the final 10 minutes. 10 minutes to find 2 goals or better. And what has proved to be a rather disappointing night for Holger Osik's team. Mackay's touch, finding Cahill. Now Carney. Well, it's a hopeful hang-up, easily nodded away by the Jordanian defence. Wilkshire still scrapping away for it. Now the break is on again. Wilkshire had pushed forward, as he's got to do, of course, with Australia trailing. Jordan in no rush to perhaps cough up possession cheaply. Merjan will roll it out to Al-Hanana on the right. He'll swing it in. Came off the shoulder, I think, of the substitute, Merjan. Cruz, who's over on the left now since the arrival of Archie Thompson off the bench. And he's won a couple of free kicks in decent positions.
And he continues to look threatening, Robbie Cruz. And there's still time, perhaps for he.
Carney swings it in, Brock's header. No danger for Jordan.
It's a long way out to trouble Amir Shafi from there. Alex Brosk, who's toiled away. Forced one really good save off the Jordan goalkeeper.
Well, the atmosphere here started building 2 hours before kick-off, and it's barely dipped since. Now the Jordan fans sense they are on the brink of what would be for them a famous victory. Unless there is a late twist in the tail. Don't rule out the spirit of the Socceroos. Third and final change for Jordan. And it's going to be one of their heroes tonight, Hassan Abdel Fattah. Scorer of the penalty for the first Jordan goal. Here it is again. To be replaced by Hassan Al-Dadour.
Well, he's been monumental tonight for his team. And over and above the penalty he converted, he has just been everywhere. Here's one, Amir Shafi's another. Two players who've attracted international interest, overseas clubs, but the Prince doesn't want them to go. So he kicks in the kitty to keep them in Jordan.
Well, in fact, just a great Abdel Fattah is now actually in Qatar with Al Khor. Could be a chance here for Australia. Ross ferreting away for possession. That's Abu Hashash. Anywhere will do, but they've managed to find a teammate again. This is Syed Murjan. But your point about the Prince is correct, certainly with Amr Shafi.
You get my drift anyway. He's highly valued in this country, and you've seen why tonight. 74 internationals, 27 goals. That's his 11th goal in World Cup qualifying over 2 campaigns.
And not just in this campaign.
And not just the minnow, Simon. He scored against South Korea, he scored against Iraq, and now Australia. So he doesn't mind going toe-to-toe with the big boys. He's here, of course, who scored the goal to give them the lead against Japan in the Asian Cup, which sent them on their way in that tournament.
Here's Archie Thompson for Australia. And he picks out Anas Bani Yassin. Jedinak wins it back.
And just to put a little bit of context into the discussion, Simon, at 1-0 in that opening game in the Asian Cup against Japan, the eventual winners, Jordan had a breakaway to make it 2-0. Late in the game, couldn't convert, and Japan scored late to make it 1-1.
Australia have got to score late twice here. Here's Archie Thompson, chance! Archie Thompson does score! 2-1, back in the contest. And the Melbourne Victory striker on target for the second international in a row. Joy at last for the Socceroo travelling faithful. And still hope for Holger Osik.
2 right there is. Brilliant stuff, Archie Thompson. That's the way to announce your return to international goal scoring. Off the bench to score against Beirut, and sniffed out this chance, Lebanon in Beirut, and sniffed out this chance to give Australia hope. Here at the King Abdullah Stadium, beautiful first touch, and a scything second touch to make it 2-1. Alex Brosk there or thereabouts again, he's been good for Australia.
Well, it could be a nervy last 5 minutes now for Jordan. They thought they'd got the game won. And just a bit of a lull descends, a bit of a hush around the stadium. They're not there yet. Australia's fighting spirit keeps them alive, for now at least. 4 minutes by my watch, Andy, plus injury time.
Plenty of stoppages. There'll be at least 3 minutes. You'd reckon. At the first time in this match, according to my recollection at least, coach of Jordan, Adnan Hamad, is pacing his technical area now. He's been as cool as a cucumber till this point. And if he is at all indicative of everyone here supporting Jordan, which obviously is the vast majority, they're sensing trouble. They know they're not out of jail yet.
Mackay looking for Cruz. All of a sudden, heavy legs amongst the Jordan players. Abu Hashash, who's been terrific tonight as well in that screening midfield role. Gets it away from harm's way. Carney trying to dig it out. Amir Deeb finds a teammate though. Only Ahmed Hayal inside the penalty area for Jordan. He goes for goal. Well, it wasn't a bad try, was it? There wasn't a lot else on for the substitute Al-Dadour. And it bounced back off the chest of Mark Schwarzer, but Australia back on the offensive immediately. And there must be some tired Jordanian bodies out there. Australians too. 3 minutes to go. Wilkshire back for Jedinak on halfway. Plenty forward for Australia. Up it goes towards Cruz, who wins the header. Bross can't get there. It pops out for Amir Deeb. Jedinak wins it back momentarily. And Jordan can't string their passes together now. Cruz. Well, the body language of the Jordan players has changed in an instant. They were almost ready to celebrate. Now they're a study in concentration. The dying embers of a fascinating night in Amman. Ball goes in, and a header by Cahill is straight at the goalkeeper. And we're into the last 2 minutes.
And the referee's in no hurry to make the goalkeeper play it either. Amir Shafi has just hoofed it as long and high as he could.
And Schwarzer having to scramble to keep it in play, which he does. Whistles from the stands. There's still a bit of time to be played. Archie Thompson with the dummy. His goal has given hope for Australia, but he's outfoxed his own teammate Luke Wiltshire there. And the Jordanian bench beneath us, some of the substitutes and technical staff are on their feet, urging the fans to will them home. Prince Ali in the stands as well. Can hardly bear to look.
They were taking the lead from their coach, who broke from convention, at least his own convention, and invited the crowd back into things, and they've responded. And it might be that last little burst that helps Jordan get over the line.
Last minute of normal time. How much injury time will there be? It's been a couple of stoppages from my memory in this second period. Neil prods it forward. Brosk attempts to flick it on, it won't reach Cruz. Every touch by a Jordan player being cheered to the rafters by the 18,000 at the King Abdullah Stadium. Wiltshire will launch it. Cahill climbs, can't get there, volleyed clear by Al-Dardour. Holger Osic's on the pitch kicking a second ball off. He could be in trouble with the fourth official. It's all going off in Amman.
There's a bit of venom in that one too from Holger.
Neil with the long punt forward, flicked on by Jedinak. Is there a chance here for Cahill? Still bobbling around, Tim Cahill. Flicks it back, Carney with the lash. And it's over the top of the crossbar, and the fourth official has signified there will be 4 minutes of injury time, and Australia have a corner. It must have taken a touch off the boot of David Carney.
Well, excellent, cool work from Tim Cahill. On the first occasion, the ball wouldn't settle for him to have a shot himself, but he set up Carney, who lashed the ball goalward. Corners resulted, Carney to take.
Pulsating finale to this World Cup qualifier. Jordan 2, Australia 1. Carney's delivery and a good claim by Amir Shafi. And listen to the relief around the stadium. Check of the watch by Adnan Hamed. Pacing the Jordan technical zone like a caged tiger at the moment. We've played nearly a minute of stoppage time. Still 3 to go, despite the whistles from the crowd. Australia resorting to launching route 1 here. Referee's blown for a foul. Alex Brosk leaning into his man. And Amir Shafi trying to rouse his troops. There's a bit of play acting there involving Tim Cahill. There was some push and shove. It's all handbags, really. You're watching a replay of Archie Thompson's shot. But I think there's a bit of gamesmanship here by the Jordanians, trying to waste some time. Mohamed Mustafa is down on his haunches. Cahill got involved in a bit of a fracas, but it was something and nothing, really. And even in the VIP section, they're on their feet. No prawn sandwiches there, Hubs.
That's not that type of country. And who could deny the locals? There's controversy in the awarding of the penalty. There is no doubt about that. But who could deny these football-hungry fans whose team was on the rack, and they've come out with an enormous performance to lead Australia 2-1 with just a couple of minutes to go.
Well, there will be an enormous roar if Jordan hang on. Australia have other ideas. Back it goes for Shafi. Tim Cahill in pursuit. Oh, it's a poor clearance by the keeper. Brosk, he's quickly closed down. Amman has regained his ground. He finds Jedinak. Chested down by Thompson onside. Here's Tim Cahill. It's the late drama here in Amman. A chance. Oh, and Amman drops gratefully on the ball. Robbie Cruz didn't get good enough contact. Goodness me, what an opportunity for Cruz.
Brilliant work from the Socceroos to force this one home. Timmy Cahill again composed. And Robbie Cruz, who's had a very, very good game, needed to make an exclamation mark with that one.
3 minutes of added time played, and Jordan have forced the corner at the other end. They're almost out on their feet. Amman is down on his knees at the other end of the park, praying for the final whistle. Up in the VIP box too.
Well, this will be a famous, famous night for Jordan if they can hang on for these dying moments. They've got the corner. They reckon they're home. The best chances of the game have come to Australia, but they haven't been able to convert. And Jordan raced to a 2-goal lead, let that slip to 2-1, and they're on the cusp of a famous victory here.
20 seconds left by my watch. They're in no hurry to take this throw-in. They're almost there, Jordan. They will be in second place in the group behind Japan if they hang on. Arguments going on. Yellow card issued for delaying the restarts to Bassem Fati. That's an important one too. He will miss the qualifier in Oman next month, hence his frustration. But surely it's too late for Australia now. The full-time whistle goes. Adnan Hamad punches the air. He's done it again against Australia. The King Abdullah Stadium erupts. And you can't say they haven't earned it. A gritty, professional, dogged performance by Jordan, backed by their incredible supporters. Conversely, it is a worrying night for Australia. Beaten in Amman, and now joint bottom of the group along with Oman and Iraq. Brazil is still within reach, we should say that. But the game in Doha next month against Iraq now looms large as to their destiny for 2014. Quite a night in Amman, but Jordan have won it by 2-1.